Warning: the following video contains speculations which involve spoilers from Life is Strange Seasons 1 through 4. If you haven't played the game in its entirety, I implore you to pause this video and come back after you've done so. In this video, I want to talk about one of the most important characters of the game, who also happens to be someone we've never met. Rachel Amber.
Rachel.
To get where I'm headed with this, I'm going to start by picking apart her full name, starting with Amber. Does it seem odd to anyone else that Rachel has two separate first names as her full name? It may not be coincidence. As you probably know, amber is a semi-precious stone made of crystallized tree resin. The word amber comes from the Greek electron or elector, which means beaming sun. In an early encyclopedia by Roman philosopher Pliny the Elder entitled The Natural History, Pliny cites the opinion of Nicias as saying that amber is a liquid produced by the rays of the sun. Forgive me if I'm butchering the pronunciation of these names. Another interesting fact about amber is how it's so thick and sticky, and tiny insects have been known to get wrapped up and trapped in it, much the way everyone within the game seems to be tangled up in Rachel's mystery. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It's easy to say that amber is related to the sun, but what about Rachel Amber? From the letters we find in Frank's RV, we can clearly see that Rachel signs her name R.A., Ra. Ra, in ancient Egyptian religion, was the god of the sun, and it was believed that all forms of life were created by Ra. Although Rachel's birthday of July 22nd technically makes her a Cancer, she refers to herself as a Leo in one of her letters to Frank. I'm sure the game developers intended for her to be a Leo, but simply got confused about zodiac dates. To err is human, they say. But being a Leo myself, I know that Leo is a sun symbol, and just as well, amber is considered a Leo birthstone, according to various sources. By now, it's probably safe to say that Rachel has some deep connections with sun symbolism, but in case I haven't convinced you just yet, let's look at some more clues. In episode 1, during one of your conversations with Samuel, listen to the way he talks about Rachel.
You can't color over that sunlight. Even sunlight can cast shadows. Rachel did both at once, you know. How can you know a prism? You just stare in awe.
He speaks of her as though she literally is the sun. So what does it all mean? Well, for starters, the sun is the center of our solar system. It's what everything revolves around, and if you've been paying attention to Life is Strange, it's pretty easy to see that everything sort of revolves around Rachel Amber in one way or another. Throughout many religions, the sun serves as a symbol for God, and also for resurrection. Dissecting further into Rachel's name, one could easily discover that the name Rachel means ewe, or according to other sources, lamb. With all this talk about God and resurrection, what does lamb make you think of? Maybe Jesus? If you know anything about what the Bible has to say, you most likely know how Jesus was crucified and then later resurrected, reborn. Finally, if you look at Rachel's file during your late-night break-in session at Blackwell, you can discover that her middle name is Dawn. And what is dawn but the rebirth of the sun? With all this information, one could easily theorize that in the 5th episode of Life is Strange, we may somehow see Rachel resurrected. But there's more. What if we already have? Maybe it goes deeper than that. What if Rachel Amber is a sort of rebirth of someone else? Maybe someone we already know? I know this may seem like a stretch, but bear with me for a second. Let's explore some ideas. What if Rachel Amber is actually Max Caulfield? It's no mystery that Max just happens to fit perfectly into Rachel's clothes. But why, when she dons this new outfit, do people instantly start to mistake her for Rachel?
Good morning, Joyce.
Rachel, I mean Max. Oh, you startled me. Well, you fit those clothes well.
Rachel? Whatever the fuck. You fucking creep me out.
In order for people to identify Rachel by her clothes alone, she would have to have worn that outfit exclusively. And as evidence from the various photos of Rachel, it's clear that she was a girl of many outfits, which makes sense for someone aspiring to be a model. So why else might everyone suddenly mistake Max for Rachel? I'm sure the clothes play some part, but the biggest reason is probably that Max and Rachel do look quite a bit alike.
Oh look, Max Amber.
They have the same body size, the same head shape, and even the same hair color. The main difference is that Rachel has longer hair and doesn't appear to have Max's freckles, but how hard would it be for Max to grow her hair out and start wearing makeup? Not very. The name Maxine means the greatest. It's not a very big stretch to assume that Max's still blossoming powers might eventually reach their full potential, allowing her to manipulate time and space to any extent she wishes. And knowing Max, what is one big thing she would likely use her newly strengthened powers to do?
So Rachel took my place. I'm glad she was there for you.
Perhaps she adopts a new identity and goes back in time to be there for Chloe during the period of time when she was absent from Chloe's life. Now, I'm sure you're thinking that there are some inconsistencies with this theory, but not to worry. I've done a lot of thinking and I have some answers prepared. First of all, you're probably wondering why Chloe wouldn't recognize her best friend, right? Well, Max didn't exactly recognize Chloe in the bathroom with Nathan, not even by her voice. I could cite several other instances in Life is Strange where people are oblivious to familiar voices or mistake one person for another. For example, Kate not recognizing Mr. Jefferson's voice when she was taken to the dark room, and of course, people constantly mistaking Max for Rachel. You may also be thinking that this theory is impossible because if Max did go back for Chloe, she would be too old for it to make sense. But notice that when Max photo hops, she goes back to the age she was when the photo was taken, so if she eventually unlocks the full potential of her powers, it's not unlikely that she could manipulate her age as well. You might also be thinking that Rachel has parents' signatures on her file and probably lives somewhere. Well, if she can forge a new identity, it probably wouldn't be much harder to forge signatures of fake parents as well. Rachel was close with Frank. It is possible that she, being Max, could have started her relationship with Frank by simply looking for somewhere to bunk while watching over Chloe, but over time, the two inadvertently became much closer than intended. And maybe her selling drugs for Frank was how she made the money to keep up appearances.
Dressing up like Rachel doesn't make you cool or tough.
I still have a little more information to back up the idea that Max and Rachel are the same person. It's probably safe to assume, based on the ghost deer we see multiple times near Rachel's grave, that the deer is Rachel's spirit, making it likely that the deer is her spirit animal. But there's plenty of evidence to suggest that it's also Max's spirit animal, from her various deer-themed t-shirts to Samuel specifically stating that her spirit animal is, in fact, a deer. Also, for those who made the connection, Max's Jane Doe shirt might have some significance, as Jane Doe is the generic name given to any unidentified female body. Of course, I don't have all the answers, and this is only a theory, but before I end things here, there's one more tiny detail I'd like to address. At the beginning of episode 3, we find a missing persons page open on Max's laptop. The last person mentioned on said page is someone called Sunshine Ray, whose real name is unknown and whose photo we can't see. All that sun stuff sounds a lot like Rachel Amber, but the truly interesting thing about this is how her real name is unknown. How can someone be missing if no one even knows who they really are? This suggests that whoever Sunshine Ray is, she had no family looking for her, and possibly only a few friends who knew her by her sunny codename. If everything I've said so far is true, then Max has taken a particular shine to sun-related codenames, and at some point has or will find a way to travel back to the 1970s for some purpose, maybe an attempt to stop Mark Jefferson or Sean Prescott from doing something awful in the future. Like I said, I don't have all the answers just yet, and this is all just speculation, of course. I can't yet explain how or why Rachel Amber exists and is still missing on the alternate timeline, but maybe I'll have more speculations and explanations in my next video, so stay tuned. I also want to say thank you to everyone who has supported our videos so far. We work really hard on our theories and have a lot of fun with it too, so if there's another fandom you'd like us to investigate into, please leave your suggestions in the comments below. And again, thanks for watching.